What is the next fight for the BMF belt? Now, if you don't already know, the BMF belt is effectively a fake title fight the UFC use to either put on weak pay-per-views or a card that they just do not have a title fight for. They also put it on UFC 300, but they put everything on 300, so it's not really, that big of a deal. Anyway, it's a fake title fight. But what is next for the BMF belt? Well, if you look at the lineage of the belt, it's very, very funky. So official lineage is, Masvidal, he won it against Diaz, then he vacated, and then, Poirier, he slept. No, Poirier got slept. What am I talking about? Gaethje slept Poirier with a head kick, and then Gaethje got knocked out by Holloway. That's the official lineage, the official narrative, some would say. Well, the real lineage of the belt is Masvidal, he beat Diaz. He then got murked by Usman. Usman's now the BMF belt. Usman then got headshot dead. Headshot dead, bruv, against Leon Edwards. Edwards is now the BMF belt. He then gets beaten and dunked in his head by Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad is the real BMF, okay? But of course, for the sake of this video, we're going to be matchmaking Max Holloway with the BMF belt because I cannot be bothered matchmaking Bilal Muhammad, and that's not a very fun, entertaining video. So, who should Max Holloway fight for the BMF belt? Well, he recently pulled out of a fight. It is Dan, the Hangman Hooker. Now, Dan Hooker did obviously recently pull out of his fight. He also does share his last name with a prostitute. Now, sorry, Dan. Now, Dan Hooker is a psychopath. This brother, he is very good. Well, he's not very good, but he's good enough. That's this. I've really messed up my words there, haven't I? He's a good fighter. He is a psychopath. And you see that man in the fucking corner, sat on the stool against Gamrot. Hey man, let this shit. Not like that, obviously, but similar. He's getting his eyes patched up. He's saying, he's broken his. This man would sit in a heel hook while the other guy's cranking at his leg and just, sit there. You know what I mean? It's like he is the definition of the baddest motherfucker. You know what I mean? Which is what it's what BMF stands for. If you don't already know, if you don't already know that, then you're probably illiterate. But it's fine. Max Holloway, he holds the belt. Obviously, he did just get sparked out by Ilia Topuria. And also, if you look at the, lightweight division at the moment, there's no one for Max Holloway to fight. If you look at, well, we can't give Holloway Charles Oliveira because he just got knocked out cold. We can't give him Sarukian. You can't give him, well, maybe Dustin Poirier, but he's already 0-2 against Poirier, so no one really wants to see that. Well, he's just knocked out Gaethje, so we can't give him Gaethje. Next one down is Dan Hooker. And Dan Hooker, he's not really going to get any favors from the UFC. He's not going to get a Gaethje rematch, you know what I mean? And he's probably not going to get a Poirier fight, even though that was an absolute killer. The first fight was fantastic. Doubt they're going to do a Poirier rematch for Dustin Poirier's last fight in the UFC. They're going to do, oh yeah, here's Dan Hooker, go break a leg, I feel like this is the next fight to make. And you can do it for the BMF belt. And the reason why I think we should do it for the BMF belt is we can actually start giving the belt some legacy and some meaning in that every single time we see the BMF belt, you're like, okay, this fight's going to be a complete scrap. You know what I mean? This fight's going to be fight of the year contender, complete scrap. Fantastic. I'm tuning in to watch this. Not just, oh, well, the UFC didn't have a title fight for this card, so they just stuck the BMF belt on there. Here's Holloway versus Gamrot. You know what I mean? So we need to see this because also for Max Holloway, there's not really many other scraps in the lightweight division worthy of a BMF belt-esque fight of the year contender. You know what I mean? So if I start looking at the lightweight division at the moment, fights that I would love to see in this division, maybe you stick Chandler in there. Chandler is 2-4 in the UFC, about to be 2-5 after he loses to Paddy Pimblett. Speaking of which, Gamrot's been named as the backup fighter, just in case one of those two pulls out. And if Chandler pulls out, all I'm saying, Paddy Pimblett does not want that Mateusz Gamrot smoke, okay? Gamrot would smoke Paddy Pimblett, and I'm going to stand on that hill till the day that I die, and I'm British. So, well, where else were we? Oh, yeah, lightweight division. So what scraps are there for him in the lightweight division? Well, maybe Fiziev, but he's moving down. Ignacio Bahamondes would be a fun fight, but not really. So there's not really, other than Dan Hooker, Justin Gaethje, maybe Dustin Poirier, and Max Holloway, there's not really many, this is going to be a fight of the year contender type fight. Unless it's outside the rankings with someone like Estan Ribovic, who puts on a scrap every single time he gets in the cage, don't get me wrong, but we're not giving Max Holloway versus Estan Ribovic. for the BMF belt anytime soon. So I think this is the fight to make. I would love to see this fight, and we can actually start. I know, like, giving the belt some legacy, but the belt has no legacy at the moment. Most of the fans don't really give two shits about it. If we can at least make the belt look like, okay, every single time this belt's on a card, it's gonna be a scrap. It's gonna be a belter. You know what I mean? Not just, oh well, they needed to put a title fight on this card. Yeah. So anyway, let me know what you think. This is, in my opinion, is the only next thing to do for the BMF belt. Anything else is incorrect. I'll see you in the next video.